please join me in the, or please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Those in uniform, please salute. Those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. And then we would go that. So I guess I would go over here, and then I'd go ready, begin. So we turn, and then I go ready, begin, and then we say the pledge, and then we turn around, and then you do your thing. So
How would I turn?
okay, you just turn. I think that's good.
So we would turn.
You need to be facing
all around. And so we would turn. And then you guys just turn.
Sorry?
You guys would just turn, and we would have to go. Okay, all right, cool. Okay, now we go back.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order for January 24th, 2023. If you could please rise. Oh, actually, we have our troop here today, Troop 700, that will be leading us today in the flag salute.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Those in uniform, please salute. Those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And if you could please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance, which you will also be leading.
Please prepare in the manner of your custom. God, thank you for these people who lead our community. Bless them in any meeting and give them wisdom and courage. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You can be seated, please. Mr. Skollick, could we please have a roll call?
Present.
Present.
Here.
Here. Here. Okay, if the council could please join me down at the front. We have 3 presentations. Okay, this evening we have Allison Allie Primish with us this evening. Allie, if you could come on down. There you are. Okay, I'm going to read this, and then you get to tell us a little bit about your project, okay? So Allison Allie Primish was an honorable certificate of recognition for earning 21 merit badges and completing her Eagle Board of Review on December 22nd, 2022. We, the City Council of the City of San Marcos, do hereby commend and recognize Allison for her dedication in reaching the highest rank of Eagle Scout and the first female Eagle Scout in our city of San Marcos. So I have to tell you, being the first woman that's elected as mayor, I'm really excited to give you this. And thank you very much and congratulations. Thank you. There you go. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your project?
Sure.
Okay.
So my Eagle Scout project, I led a group of volunteers to make almost 500 cat toys for a local cat rescue right here in our city, and it was a lot of fun. There were some challenges, but I had awesome volunteers, and I learned a lot about leadership going through the scouting program. I highly recommend it for everybody because now everybody can be a part of it, and you learn a lot. You get to have a lot of adventures, go outdoors a lot. So, yeah, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Congratulations again. All right, now you get to sit there right back.
Good job.
And we're going to take a picture for you. Okay, right here, Allison.
One, two, three.
Awesome. Congratulations. So not everyone maybe knows, but today we were celebrating our 60th anniversary. It's very exciting. I have a little bit of a little proclamation here. Who is going to be accepting this? Nobody? Okay, well, we will do it, City Council. So the City of San Marcos hereby recognizes our 60th anniversary. Whereas San Marcos became incorporated on January 28, 1963, and grew to a present-day population of 97,209, making it one of the fastest-growing cities in North County. Whereas Discover Life's Possibilities defines San Marcos' drive for new and innovative ideas to make our community even better. San Marcos is home to 8 institutions of higher education, including the region's only public university, CSU San Marcos. And the dedication to parks and community services is another priority for our city, providing rich recreational and cultural programs for children, teens, adults, and of course, seniors. The city lives up to its name, San Marcos, with more than 300 acres of park space. The San Marcos major accomplishments include the development of the Creek Project and recent ranking as one of the nation's top cities for families by Fortune magazine, as it unites many elements of the city's vision to create a desirable quality of life for residents and businesses. We, therefore, the City of San Marcos, proclaim January 24th, 2023 as San Marcos' 60th anniversary and invite all of our members of our community to join in the celebration. And if you haven't been over there, we still have cake, I believe, over in the community center. And we really are just excited to have this accomplishment, 60 years of amazing, of an amazing community with a great quality of life. So thank you all. And we're going to take a picture because this is amazing. And if you can't tell, I'm a little excited. And you may not know this, but our sister city, Vista, actually has their birthday today as well. They're, I think, 2 hours older than us. So, and then I'd like to bring up Marjorie Saylor today, and your daughter too, please. Marjorie, I met Marjorie a couple of years ago at an anti-human trafficking event, and she's been such a beautiful voice for all survivors and speaking out against human trafficking, and I'm so glad that you came today to join us. And I'm going to read this to you, okay? The San Marcos City Council hereby recognizes Human Trafficking Prevention Month as January 2023. Human trafficking erodes personal dignity and destroys the moral fabric of society. Each day in cities, suburbs, rural areas, and tribal lands, people of every age, gender, race, religion, and nationality are devastated by this grave offense. During National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we affirm our unwavering commitment to eradicate this horrific injustice. Human trafficking is often a hidden crime that has no boundaries through force, fraud, coercion, and sexual exploitation of minors. Traffickers rob countless individuals of their dignity, freedom, splinter families, and threaten the safety of our communities. Seroptimus International of Vista in North County Inland marks the 17th annual awareness walk this Saturday, January 28th, 2023. Therefore, we, the City Council of the City of San Marcos, hereby proclaim January 2023 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and we call upon the community to recognize our vital roles in ending all forms of modern slavery and to observe this month with programs and activities aimed at ending and preventing all forms of human trafficking, including participating in the Trafficking Awareness Walk this Saturday. And it is right there at the church at Melrose, and I can't remember the name of the street, but if you look it up, the Seroptimus of Vista, they are putting on that event. And Marjorie, thank you so much for joining us, and your beautiful daughter. We thank you so much for being here today with us. And did you want to say a couple of words, or you don't need to? You don't need to. Okay, here you go. Thank you so much. We're going to take a picture. Thank you. Good to see you. Okay. And my apologies, that's Melrose and Breeze Hill, where that is located. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. Do we have any items that any council members wish to pull? And if not, can I have a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No. Okay, motion passes for the consent calendar. Moving on to oral communications. Do we have any speaker slips? No. Okay, moving on to public hearings. Ordinance 2023-1528 and Resolution 2023-9105, Montiel Commercial Mitigated Negative Declaration, Negative Deck 21-0005, Specific Plan SP 19-0001, and Site Development Plan SDP 19-003. And do we have a staff presentation this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Jones. Simon Corsi will be doing the presentation here shortly.
Good evening, council members. Sorry, I do just, okay, thank you. The project in front of you today is for a commercial office building. The requested entitlement from the applicant include a mitigated negative declaration, adoption of a specific plan, and approval of a site development plan for a two-story office commercial building of roughly 32,000 square feet. The project site is located immediately to the north of State Route 78 and along the city's border with city of Escondido, and then to the south of Montiel Road. The project site fronts on Montiel Road. The site is roughly 2.6 acres in area. The first entitlement requested is adoption of a specific plan. The general plan designation for this site requires adoption of a specific plan for any development to occur. Hence, the applicant has requested approval and adoption of a specific plan. The specific plan, once approved, is going to be a regulatory document for this site. The allowed uses contemplated in the specific plan include office and commercial uses. The document also establishes development standards that include floor area ratios, setbacks, heights, and some other standards. The specific plan also includes design guidelines to dictate building form, elevation treatment, lighting, and landscaping for the site. Here is the site plan as proposed by the applicant. As you can see, access to the site will be taken from Montiel Road. The structure itself is 2 stories office building of 32,000 square feet. Additionally, the site will be improved with 171 parking spaces. Extensive landscaping is proposed. For the parking lot, it's going to have 1 tree for each 5 parking spaces. Additionally, landscaping will be provided along Montiel Road's frontage to screen the project site. The site's frontage along State Route 78 is within Caltrans easement area, so any landscaping or trees that will be installed within the Caltrans easement will require their approval as well. This project also has another feature, which is parking and access agreement with the site located immediately east of it and within the city of Escondido, and that's where the North Coast Church is located. The parking and access agreement will allow church attendees to utilize access parking on this project site on weekends when the office uses are not in use. So it's a reciprocal parking and access agreement between the 2 properties. The site plan and the development of the site will also include frontage improvements along Montiel Road, which will include curb gutter and sidewalk. Here is the first floor plan for the project. It's the total square footage of the first floor is 15,700 square feet. Roughly 10,000 square feet will be available for lease spaces, office spaces. And then second floor will have a total square footage of 17,000 square feet with 13,000 office lease area available. This is the architectural rendering of the proposed building. It's 2 stories, 35 feet in height. The design is of modern themed architectural design with symmetrical, keeping symmetry in mind and designing it with modern materials. To comply with California's Environmental Quality Act, this project also has a mitigated negative declaration, which was circulated for 30 days public comment period in December of 2021. During the 30 days comment period, we received 3 comment letters. The responses to all those letters are included in your packet. Most of the comments and questions were routine in nature and just needed further explanation from staff and from CEQA consultant. The mitigated neg deck includes mitigation measures related to biological resources, public services, and tribal cultural resources. A public workshop for this project was conducted on November 18th, 2021. No members of the public actually attended that workshop. We also did not receive any public comments at the Planning Commission meeting. We did receive a FEMA letter just yesterday, just before the City Council's meeting, which was more of an advisory letter to state that if the project is within floodplain, that they would have to comply with specific requirements related to any floodplain measures. Just to confirm, the project site is not in floodplain, so it's not going to apply to this particular design. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this project by a 7-0 vote. Hence, the city staff is also recommending that the Planning Commission, the City Council adopt the mitigated negative declaration and adopt the ordinance to establish specific plan for the project site and approve site development plan as proposed. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other staff presentation? Okay, we have Jamie Looney that is with the Montiel project, if you wanted to come and speak on behalf.
Good evening, Jamie Looney with Unite Pacific. Thank you very much for hearing and considering our project. As each of you, I believe, already know, this project has started its inception with North Coast Church looking to expand their parking ability and manage parking. The beginnings of this was code enforcement coming in and explaining that we couldn't have an off-site parking lot more than 700 feet from the facility. And so North Coast stepped up to the plate and came up with a very extensive, expensive plan to build a parking lot. And what that resulted in is a 33,000 square foot building that you see today. And we're hoping that your considerations of the time, effort, and money that's been spent will result in a unanimous vote of yes.
Okay, thank you. Does the council have any questions? Yes, Councilmember Musgrove.
Real quickly, it was noted that this is not in the floodplain, correct?
It is not in the floodplain, no.
So there will be some mitigation that's necessary to get approval from Caltrans, is that correct?
That's correct. The Caltrans, there is language that it's very clear that we have to gain approval for Caltrans to allow the stormwater to go into their right-of-way, and that right-of-way requirement will be upon pulling of the construction permit once the construction drawings are done.
So any grading on that property, will there be concerns about runoff with the grading onto adjacent properties?
No, because that the mitigation will be part of the prior approval and issuance of the construction permits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilmember Sinella.
Not really a question, more of a comment. Just I had an opportunity to drive down Montiel, and of course I drive up and down 78 quite frequently. And I've always kind of thought that portion of Montiel and in between Montiel and 78, I think there's like 2 small open lots left along that stretch, and they kind of look out. Those open lots look out of place. So it's nice that you're bringing forth a quality, light industrial type of building that's going to take that spot. But what I really like about it is that you're going to have that that agreement for the parking for the churchgoers on the weekends. And I think that's not only going to help those who attend the church, but it should help also the surrounding neighborhood as well, because if you don't have parking at the church, and when it gets full, then people end up parking, on the streets. So I think this is kind of a win-win situation. So just wanted to make that comment.
Sir, I appreciate the comments on that. The safety and ability to manage the attendees at the church was the inception of this idea, where there's no sidewalks in that adjacent neighborhood, knowing that San Marco, the border between San Marcos and Escondido, is the property line between these two parcels. North Coast never wanted anyone to have to park into those neighborhoods, impact the safety and security of the people crossing the Montiel, and so thank you for noticing that. Appreciate it.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Just one comment, and I think it was touched on, but I just want to be clear that there is going to be a walking area from the existing church to this new piece of property, so that they don't have to go out and walk onto the sidewalk and come over, but you're going to have access points onto the new property.
Yes, ma'am. The site plan does depict a pedestrian connection between the two parcels. The idea behind that was in the beginning, North Coast Church had intended to self-occupy portions of this building, so they wanted to ensure that the pedestrian access was made sense. But yes, it's part of the intention of the developer to have a pedestrian walkway as well as a vehicle connection.
Oh, you're going to be able to drive through there.
Yes, ma'am. There's a licensing agreement between the private parties.
Right.
That
Okay.
is on title already, and will rest there in perpetuity unless North Coast sells its interest in the adjacent property.
Sells the building or the,
The existing building, the
Right.
existing property that North Coast occupies,
sells
the
that
licensing
building.
agreement
okay,
is written in such a way that they must own 50% interest in that building
in
in order
that
to maintain the
building, not
license.
the new building.
Yes, ma'am.
New building could be owned by someone else.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, I have no other questions. I just want to make a comment that, for the record, that I did meet with the applicant, but any decision is being made here tonight.
I have as well.
As have I.
I didn't know we had to disclose that, but I have to.
I have to as well. Deputy Mayor, do you have anything further? If not, I have
No,
one
that was-
question.
Did you have a question?
I do.
Councilmember? Okay, go ahead.
One point of clarification, there are no residents, no occupants in the current structure, correct?
No, ma'am,
Nobody's
it's strictly
being,
commercial. Or are you
the
saying?
site that's in question, that we're being asked to approve, there are no occupants in that site, there are no residents that are being,
The residents that are occupying those structures are members of North Coast Church, and they
I
have
see.
a understanding of a month-to-month nature of the situation there.
I see. So it's something that obviously the applicant would be dealing to ensuring that they'd be relocated and,
100%. There's no concern with the relocation of those individuals. To speaking to that, the idea that this process has taken as long as it has, their understanding of their occupancy there was many years ago, they thought that they would have to move.
okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, Mr. Looney, I had one last question. The EV parking, where's that located? I don't see it.
It is not specified where, but just the quantity. And in the 11th hour prior to the Planning Commission meeting, we did agree to language that would allow for the current required EV parking to be adopted or added into the specific plan language.
Okay, so I'm not I don't really want to make it a requirement, but I would be happy if you were to consider making sure that there is space for that to grow, because I do believe that electric vehicles will increase in quantity at a later date. So just pre-plumbing or having some way to do that. And I think too that there is a lot of dollars that are out there through grant funding and that sort of thing for light industrial spaces or businesses to actually add those actual parking spaces in. So I would just hope that you would keep your eye on that and, pay attention to that. That'd be great.
Thank you for the question or the statement. The infrastructure within the building, the power requirements for, I believe, up to 12 parkings. I'm going off of memory, but I believe we have the ability or the amount of power available to do up to 12. So I
Okay.
think that's
All right.
significant. Yep.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I don't think we have any other questions for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, council, any discussion or questions for staff? No? This is a public hearing. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public hearing is closed. Any other further discussion on this item? It's pretty straightforward, so, nope. Okay, do I have a motion to approve then?
Move to approve item number 9, ordinance 2023-1528, and resolution number 2023-9105.
I'll second.
Does that include all of the specific plan? And there's a
Yeah.
few other
Oh,
things
oh,
there.
yeah.
Just making sure you're
Yeah.
talking about all of it. Okay.
As presented.
Okay, as presented, the entire item with all of the
Right.
resolutions
Yeah. If
and
I need to read
specific
all that, I
plans.
will,
and-
but-
No, you don't. That's why I normally say it in the beginning, because it's very cumbersome to say all of that. But, okay, so your motions approve everything, and then Councilmember Nunez, that's your
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Okay, seeing none. Okay, you're approved. Thank you. Any further oral communications? Okay, this is going pretty fast. Reports, Sandag. Oh, Sandag. It was an interesting meeting this last week, last week. So, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. So we have our next meeting this coming Friday. Didn't go very well last week. I actually ended up walking out after I realized that the voices of the smaller cities, including San Marcos, even though we're almost 100,000 people, was not being heard or listened to. And so what happened in 2017, there was a change in legislation, and how it's being interpreted, possibly, by the Sandag attorneys is that no longer do you need a tally vote and a weighted vote, but now if any tally vote happens and it's not affirmative, that they can actually overrule every single vote. So the point is, there was a walkout. I walked out because it became very clear that there was going to be, if there were people there that didn't believe that they agreed with the affirmative vote, which, by the way, it was on second vice chair, so it was on leadership. I nominated a council member from Del Mar to be the second vice chair, and 9 other cities voted with me, so 10 of us out of a 19-board agency or 19-member agency, and the motion passed. However, the city of San Diego and the county of San Diego didn't like that vote, so they called for a weighted vote. So the point was for me to walk out to say I am in protest of this. It's actually the first meeting that I've actually walked out of. I don't agree with it. However, sometimes you have to have your voice heard. And I think having all of North County not have a voice and all of East County not to have a voice and 10 members to have their vote overturned was not something that I wanted to be any part of. So anyway, I did step out of that meeting. We do have another meeting Friday. I don't intend to do that. But anyway, that's what happened at the last Sandag meeting. So stay tuned, because I think that as things happen in the county, and by the way, if you're unfamiliar with what Sandag does, is they take all of the federal, state, and locally generated tax dollars and decide where those improvements in both transit and in road improvements and highways, where that money is allocated. So when you have 4 board members, which is now what's happening with this new weighted tally vote, having 4 board members decide what happens with a 19-member agency, I have a problem with that. And the city of San Diego, if they can overturn with 3 other agencies voting with them, every single vote that we have and allocate all of the money to the city of San Diego, which is the new regional transportation plan, that's where the lion's share of those dollars would go for these projects. I have a problem with that. So we still need to remember that we are a multi-jurisdictional agency and that we do need to serve all of the communities, not just downtown San Diego, but North County and East County as well, and the smaller cities, because all of our residents, as probably all of you that are out there this evening, whether you're virtual or in person, we all need to go where we need to go, and that is all throughout the county and elsewhere. So anyway, I will keep fighting hard for the residents of San Marcos and beyond, for the 97% of the residents in the county that are either driving a car or need a vehicle to take them where they need to go. I will also balance the 3% that are currently riding on our transportation system, and also making sure that their voices are heard and their vote matters. So I will be working for all of San Diego County residents, and first and foremost, obviously, the city of San Marcos. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Councilmember Musgrove, you might have been listening virtually. I'm not quite sure. Did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it was a very substantive and bold statement being made that the cities that are often overlooked are no longer going to stand by and let the majority of the money and services go down to a central location, realizing that's where public transit goes, but public transit cannot be the only option. We still need to keep our roads serviceable and provide those services to North County and East County, and I think that was clearly stated. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Moving on to League of California Cities. Councilmember Musgrove, I almost started saying Councilmember. We just changed our appointments last meeting, so.
I am, in addition to the representative, I'm also on the Public Safety Committee for the state, and we have a 4-hour meeting this Thursday. And Councilmember Sanel and I will be up the first week of February for 3 days to the annual League conference. And our next League of California Cities meeting proper will be on,
It's usually a Monday.
yeah, it
Yep.
is, and it's not until, I think I have
March?
it, I think I have it in March, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it
First
might be
Monday in
March
March. It
because
is,
of
March
February.
3rd.
Okay,
Yep.
all right,
Oh, I'm sorry, February 13th, we have one.
February 13th.
February 13th.
Okay, North County Transit, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I have some information to share. So we had a meeting on January 19th. You may know that we're working on developing some of our transit stations, and the board approved a negotiation agreement for Carlsbad Village, and that will go to West Village Partners. We also approved, and it takes about 2 to 3 years or so to negotiate these agreements between the transit agency and the developer. We already have, just to back up a little bit, we already have Oceanside Transit negotiations in process. That's with Toll Brothers. And then we have, and just to mention, the West Village Partners, one of those partners is our very own Seabreeze, that's developing in our city. So we're excited to see what happens with that. The Poinsettia Station is a much smaller area, and that is going to go to Raintree Partners. So the development agreement will be negotiated. There's a ground lease. It's a very long process, so.
I have a quick question about this. For clarification, this is for housing and commercial development around the train stations.
Yes.
My question, I have a couple of questions, actually. I'm sorry
may
to
not
throw
have
you
an
off.
answer,
Throw you
but
off.
go ahead.
That's okay. If you don't have the answer,
I'll
you can
get
get it to me. One of them being the revenue that is generated at those locations for this. Where does that money go? Is it going to go to
North County.
North County
yeah.
Transit so they can expand services and things like this, or?
Well,
how does
it's
that
to
work?
help our long-term revenue
Okay. Yep.
stream.
Great. Okay.
Just kind of like what the city did here. with
Yes.
The properties
Smart.
they own.
Yep. Yep.
They're, just to give you an example, I don't remember the number of units. I didn't bring that presentation, but I think Carlsbad Village is going to have about 27% entitled affordable
Well, that
units.
was my next question.
Yes, so
So
they
does-
have to meet the Carlsbad requirements, which is 15%.
Yes.
And I think the other is a much smaller unit area. I want to say that's less than 20%, maybe 15 or 17.
So does
So-
that then in turn actually meet the requirements for the city of Carlsbad?
They have to meet, yes.
Well,
they'll be
I
working
mean,
with
okay,
the
so it goes toward their regional housing needs
Yes.
assessment number, which is your RENA
Yes.
numbers. Okay, so it actually helps the city out when they're
Yes.
doing something like that.
Yes.
Just saying, if North County Transit wants to do something around our transit stations, they might need to look into that.
Yeah, I think the next one they're going to look at, I believe, is maybe Escondido. So, I mean,
Well,
this is
I know.
at
I know.
least 5 years before there's a shovel in the ground, at least.
Well, and just for the folks at home or in the audience today, this is, the city of San Marcos actually received in the last allocation of the Regional Housing Needs Assessment numbers, RENA numbers, from the state of California, over 3,100 units that are supposed to be built between 2021 and 2029. So anything, even if it's, a couple of years from now, it would be helpful because the state does have mandates, and if they're deed restricted affordable, then it helps us actually meet those requirements. So they stay out of our business. We
Right.
like that. We don't like them in our business. Okay.
And then, did you have anything else to add, Ed? I think, were you listening to the
Yeah, I
meeting?
was, and I just want to make sure that I understood correctly. When they talked about Escondido, I imagine they're talking about Valley Parkway in Quince, the large transit center there
Yes.
for bus and Sprinter? Okay, thank you.
Yes, but that's a little bigger puzzle because there's some North County Transit land there, and then there's some city land, and so that's a bigger piece to try to figure out what's the best use of that particular area.
Right, and there's a water channel that kind of runs adjacent to the property,
yeah.
too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then an update to the Breeze Bus Line 347 route that goes through San Marcos. We had a public hearing on that. They have been diligently working on that and gathering feedback. The new route will take effect April 2nd. I asked about could it wait until some of our construction is done and Discovery opens and the flow of traffic happens, because this bus line's going to be going down San Marcos Boulevard for part of the way. But it's a very complex process to change a bus route. And they have timelines and schedules that they have to deal with. So they may change it in time, but for now, it'll be what they proposed. And then we're also doing a public hearing in March to talk about continuation of some temporary reductions on some bus routes because of our staffing issues. So those are coming up on time deadline, so we'll be holding a public hearing to extend that a little bit till we get some of those issues resolved. And then the next item is we had our annual audit. There were they found no material weaknesses or issues of noncompliance, so that's good because it's a very complicated process and a lot of money flows from all different areas, so that was good news. And then we have new board officers and some new members. Jewel Edson will continue as the board chair for a second year. Priya Bhat Patel will continue, Jewel is with Solana Beach, and Priya Bhat Patel will continue as vice chair for a second year, and she is from Carlsbad. And then we have two new members. Dave Drucker from Delmar came back. He's been on the board before. He's a wealth of information, so he will be representing Delmar on the board. And then Dane White, the new mayor in Escondido, will be the Escondido rep. And Peter Weiss from Oceanside is also our third newest member. And those were the highlights.
I have a quick question on your staffing. Are we close to getting back to full staffing? Or?
Still working on it. We're
Okay.
not 100%,
And
but they're working on it.
And you're still hiring. I was behind a bus the other day, and it had a little sticker on the back. We're hiring. And so you don't go to gonctd.com, or is there a link on there?
There should be a link on
Okay,
there.
link if anyone's looking for a job. They are hiring.
Yes.
So
Yes.
definitely want to get people back to work. Okay.
And also, we did, just to share, we did our internal committee and external appointments. I will continue as the vice chair of the Performance Administration and Finance Committee. And because of being that position, I will also be on the executive committee. And then I am the second alternate as an advisory member only for North County Transit for the Sandag Board of Directors. The chair and vice chair are the first ones, but if they can't go, then I would go. Again, advisory, not voting. And then I am also a member as an advisory member for the Sandag Regional Planning Committee. And then I am also on an ad hoc committee called Rail Service and Community Enhancements, which just started. I haven't been to it, so.
Okay. I'm on regional planning too for Sandag,
Okay,
for North County Inland.
we might see each other there.
Yes, and I'm on the executive committee at Sandag as well. Interesting. Okay. North County Dispatch Joint Powers Authority, Councilmember Nunez.
Thank you, Mayor. The next meeting is scheduled for February 22nd. So then we should have a report then at the end of February.
And are you going on a tour and checking it out ahead of time?
I am going to be doing that. I don't have any dates yet for that, but I'll be doing that.
It's actually fascinating to listen to them actually run a call and hear all the things that they have to go to. Or have to go through. I literally couldn't do it. It would be too nerve-wracking for me, but they have nerves of steel, and we sure appreciate them. So, and then when Appreciation Month is, definitely make sure you go and check it out. It's a really great
absolutely.
experience. Okay.
Yep.
All
So
right.
I'll let the
Yes.
council know.
I have
Yes,
a question
Deputy
for you,
Mayor.
Maria. I think because of COVID, they hadn't done this in a few years, but maybe you or Dan could find out. They used to, during Appreciation Month, have open the call center, and the different cities would be responsible for a meal, and anybody could go and
Oh, yeah.
go
yeah.
down and listen. So maybe you guys might ask to see if that might be something they would do again, because it'd be good to go and see it. For anybody interested.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think either of you have gone yet, so yeah, that would be really
No,
good.
I haven't gone
Or
either.
maybe you could ask.
Yeah,
them.
be good. Okay,
We'll find out.
all right.
Thank you for that.
Councilmember Musgrove, Clean Energy Alliance report.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We met and we had a change in the leadership. Again, Councilmember Dave Drucker from Delmar is now the chair and I'm the vice chair. We discussed a little bit about the rates from SDG&E when last summer they announced a huge rate reduction, and it seemed like it was going to be a permanent thing, but it was actually just a rebate because they'd been overcharging us. And then towards the end of November, first part of December, they announced rates were going up in July, and we've all seen that. Our electric rates have gone up. By and large, the Clean Energy Alliance, for those member agencies that are currently receiving power, the power we purchase is a rate reduction from what SDG&E offers of anywhere between 5 and 25%. And the reason it varies, it depends on when the city came in to the alliance. And the reason it varies is because SDG&E charges, there's a term for it, but it's essentially an exit fee. So when that city leaves, then SDG&E says, well, we've gone into longer-term contracts to provide power for your city, so you need to make us whole. The issue I have with that is SDG&E has yet to provide us those documents showing what contractual obligations they have, the term, the costing, and whether or not we're able to purchase those. And so our point of contention goes up to the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, and they're a little bit reluctant to push that issue with any of the major power providers because they essentially live off the proceeds for that through the governor and the state of California. But I'm still pushing it, talk to our council that we need to absolutely get those documents so we can put it out in the open and show exactly what it is we're paying for. We meet Thursday is our next meeting, our next scheduled meeting, and I want to make sure everybody's aware that starting end of March, first part of April, you'll all be getting notifications in your mailbox and hopefully some social media notices that in April is when San Marcos and Escondido transition over. So it'll be a default unless you specifically say I'd rather stay with SDG&E as my provider. There'll still be the generation and the conduit, but you'll see a note on your bill showing that the Clean Energy Alliance is now your provider. So if you choose to stay with SDG&E, you simply opt out, and there's a 1-year window on that. Once you opt out, you can come back, but you'd have to wait for a year. There's administrative costs and fees that are involved with SDG&E. And on February 16th, from 1 to 4 o'clock, we will have our CEO and some of our other representatives, and I'll be present at our senior center at Richmar and Twin Oaks from 1 to 4 on the 16th for a public opportunity to come in there, and we'll give a presentation on what is the Clean Energy Alliance, how we'll benefit, and you can ask all the questions you want. And
That's Senior Activity Center.
very active. We've been over there. We've seen them on the dance floor, Mayor. And that concludes my presentation.
Just one point of clarification
Mayor.
for folks out in the audience and then at home as well. You will still get your bill from SDG&E.
Correct.
And it will be a separate line item that actually says that you have a different provider. So it'll look kind of the same. And then your gas still is provided by SDG&E, which everyone has heard probably about that, how that's a very volatile market right now with natural gas. And so it's supposed to be very expensive this month. So for those of you, including myself, that run your gas fireplaces, you might need to cut back until that stabilizes. So anyway, just wanted to clarify that it would all still be coming on that same bill.
Yes, the bill will look essentially the same, except there'll be a line item, and you may notice anywhere from 2 to 5% reduction in your total bill. And you can do a side-by-side comparison. And you can actually go on the Clean Energy Alliance website, and there's some exemplars of how it would reflect on your bill and the rate reduction you would see.
Okay, City Council business, oh, sorry. Yes, Councilmember.
Councilmember, I have a question about the Clean Energy Alliance, the scheduled date at the Senior Center. Do we know, will we have Spanish speakers there to answer questions in Spanish? Do you know, or do we need to follow up?
It's my
on that?
understanding, yes, but I will double check on that. And I should also, I forgot to mention that with the expiration of the governor's emergency order for certain public entities doing Zoom meetings essentially, that we anticipate, if not in March, February maybe, we will be holding the meetings in person. And this is the area where we've identified we'll be holding our meetings in the council chambers.
Is it a certain day of the month, certain week of the month, or does it vary?
It is normally the third Thursday. Now, we
Okay.
have had some special meetings just for any particular reason, but the public meetings, and they're all public, don't get me wrong, but the ones we have where we discuss the agenda items are the third Thursdays.
So that's when you would be here?
That's when we would be here, yes.
And what time of day?
I'll pull one up.
I believe it's 2 o'clock.
They are, we have had them earlier than that, but it's generally 2 to 4.
Okay, thank you.
So if there was a schedule change, that would also be a public notice that we'd have to post.
Okay.
And then I would certainly put it out for everyone else.
So we go to your website
Yes.
and find out when the meetings are going to start here.
And it's simply thecleanenergyalliance.org
Got it.
altogether.
Jack, when they have their meetings here, could we make sure that we push that out on our social media as well? Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great.
And they will be broadcast live on YouTube.
Okay. All right, great. City council business visits. Who had a business
Mike and I
visit?
We did.
You did?
Yep.
Deputy Mayor looks at me like, wait, what?
I don't think I did.
So I can, you mind if I start?
Sure, please.
So Councilmember Musgrove and I and Tess and Amanda from our team visited with Prava Construction, which you can see here in the presentation. Prava's currently located here in San Marcos, right around the corner off of Rancheros and that commercial building around the corner at 150 Rancheros. But they were such a fun group. If you go to the next slide where we had the group picture, you can see that they all joined us to kind of have a fun picture there. And you know, they've been in San Marcos for not too long. They came over from Escondido. They got about 35 full-time employees. They focus on project management for commercial-based projects, so they don't do any kind of residential. They primarily kind of their niche is about $1 to $3 million range projects, but they definitely have done some bigger ones. And they have a lot of repeat customers, like Northrop Grumman and San Diego Gas and Electric, but they also do work with like charities like North County Boys and Girls Club, and they did some work with our very own Terry campus here in San Marcos. And what I really liked about this group when we met with them is to hear, given their location off of Rancheros, they've had team building events at My Yard Live. They walk over to the San Marcos Center, the Spaghetti Factory area, and they have lunches there. And they're really taking advantage of the kind of that walkable part of our little Civic Center downtown area. I know it's not downtown technically, but our Civic Center area. And it's all very flat and walkable, and they're able to go to the fitness center over there and also participate in some of the restaurants and stuff like that. So it's cool.
It was very nice. Their operation they had in Escondido was a bigger square footage, but it wasn't a good usable space. So they downsized somewhat, but they have a more effective operation. They took some of the walls out, and you can't see it in the photograph, but there's a small plexiglass partition on every part of the cube farm, and everyone has a stencil of their name on there. It's kind of neat. It personalizes their workspace. They're able to collaborate because they have different disciplines within that group shot. So if somebody's working on a particular project and it will cross over into another area, they're right there. And they have a breakout room. They have a room they set up for training. They have operations not just in San Marcos, but in different parts of Southern California. So they kind of want to use this as a focal point for them to come in. And in that photograph, the gentleman on the far left with the blue jacket, and then there's a woman next to him with a gray sweater, and then you see a little head peeking around the corner below the gentleman with the beard. That's Colina. She and her husband are the company owners. So she runs the business operations side of it. Very, very informative. When we walked in, we introduced ourselves, and she jumped right into it with both feet and started right in and introduced us to some of the lead staff. Very impressive. They all know what they're doing, but it's I guess the best way you said it, it's just a fun place. They all seem to enjoy it very much. And I kept, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, I know the name. And then when they mentioned Terry, they had their banner up there for quite a while and helped them out a great deal with getting the new campus going. And it's just literally, 100 yards maybe outside the city limits as North Twin Oaks transitions to Deer Springs. Great visit, good time.
I just also want to add that they did, when we asked if they needed anything, they didn't really need so much from, other than streamlined permitting and everything, but what they really asked for is they need help with architects and architecture firms. So if there's anybody that's watching this that does that for a living or knows somebody that does, then you may want to reach out to Prava. There could be an opportunity there.
I had a quick question. Do they do tenant improvements, or do they do or do they do new builds?
Both.
Both, okay. All right, well, then that helps with their staff that they're looking for. Okay. All right, San Marcos Creek project. Jack?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. So the rains of the past few weeks did end up setting us back a couple of weeks. Not a great big surprise in that. Work along Paseo del Arroyo Park, the linear park that goes through the creek area, the drainage improvements and the trail structure being installed along that. Within the bridge itself, Via Veracruz Bridge, the utilities are being placed. Obviously, you saw pictures in the last week or two of the extensive amount of structure and rebar and reinforcing that's going on before the bridge is poured. Discovery Road, the retaining wall foundations to the west end have been poured, and we're starting to work on the sound wall generally in front of the Lakeview Mobile Home Park. Lots of drainage work going on throughout the site. And then the last phase of SDG&E work, which is the final undergrounding of utilities along Discovery and Via Veracruz, should get started here in the next few weeks. So other than just losing a little time on the rain, everything's going pretty well.
But it will still be done this year, so that's good. If it's not done this year, we've got trouble. Okay, council commentary. Again, it was our 60th birthday this month. Really excited about seeing all of the things that we've done in our city. Oh, Jack, I had a question about the video. It was great. The video with all the pictures of the old pictures from our history. Are we going to be able to have that somewhere so that people could watch that at home?
Sure, we know the people who helped us put that together, so I'm sure
Didn't we do
we'll
it?
be able to get
No?
it, yes.
Okay, well, anyway, it's really cool to see like the pictures of Hollandia, decades ago, and then the Purahoff Chicken Ranch, where CSU San Marcos is now, and just, what we looked like. I moved here in 1987, so we were pretty old by then. But anyway, just seeing all of the part of our history, it was really pretty interesting to see, and I thought it was fun. And we did have cake. That's always a good thing. And we do have pens. So if folks, are we going to have those at the front desk? If someone would want to come and get a pen, we'll all probably have them so we can give them out to people. And then when we run out, then they become collector's items. I actually still have one from our 50th birthday. Someone told me tonight, they said, yeah, I was going to wear my 50th so I could have them both together, which is pretty cool anyway. But we'll all have some. And then any other council commentary, because we have a closed session this evening. Yes, Councilmember Sanella.
Just real quick, last week I had the pleasure of having the opportunity to meet with all of our department heads and kind of have a briefing / orientation from them, and I just wanted to thank all of them for making time to meet with me, and just an incredible group, including our sheriff's captain and our fire chief. And in fact, talked to the sheriff's captain about setting up a future ride-along, which I'm excited to do, and just an incredible team that we have. And I only got to spend so much time with each of them, so I'll probably have to circle back, but it was a tremendous opportunity for me to learn a lot.
So, I say this all the time, but you gave me another opportunity to say it. Our staff is really why we are such an exceptional city. And the spirit of service, how they show up no matter what the circumstances. I mean, just, going to Jack's Pond Park, in the new nature center that was just rehabbed. It's unbelievable. And, our staff puts their heart and soul into everything. And, we have a lean staff. We have always had that as one of our values in the city way back, even when Rick Giddings, who's out in the audience today, was our city manager 2 city managers ago. We've always had that, love of our city, which is amazing. And, discovering life possibilities in our city. I think we've come a long way, but it's because of our staff. They're amazing. Anyway, thank you. Anything else?
Just real quickly.
Yes,
No.
Councilmember Musgrove.
Not to jump the shark, but do we have students in the audience that need their documents signed before we go to our meeting? So you need to come up pretty quickly once we adjourn.
Yeah, we've got our closed session. So anything else? Okay, we're going to be, Madam Peak, could you please, our counselor, our city attorney needs to send us off to closed session, so then you could come up as soon as she's done speaking. Thank you.
The council will now adjourn to closed session where it will discuss item number 17, conference with labor negotiators under Government Code Section 54957.6. The labor negotiators is city manager, human resources risk director, and the city's designated negotiators. regarding labor negotiations with San Marcos Classified Miscellaneous, San Marcos Supervisors, and San Marcos Professional Firefighters Associations. Also, item number 18, conference with legal counsel on potential litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9 sub D sub 4, one or more potential actions against Adam Engineering Construction and/or its surety, the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company, concerning CIP Contract 6619 dated November 18, 2021, between City of San Marcos and Adam Engineering for the construction of Fire Station Number 3, CIP number FC006, and the related performance bond issued by the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company and potentially other interested parties.
Okay, we will be going
Signatures
into,
now. Well,
yes, we're going into closed session, so quickly, please.
I can sign it. I didn't have any. What's that? Yeah. Well, I asked, I was like thinking that they were gonna go and we were leaving, and I asked, and they were like, "You want us to stay?" Like, "Yeah, sure, you know, about 10 minutes, so we can stay." I was like, "Okay." It's all good, like, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna stay. I got a lot of that. They just doubled up. So we had 12.5 hours mandatory. So within a 2-week period, a lot of people felt like it. And so what that does is that creates like, it's
We have three for the.
I'm not even here.
The council has reconvened from closed session where it discussed items number 17 and 18 on the agenda. On item number 17, the labor negotiation item, the staff provided information and an update to the city council, which engaged in discussion. No reportable action was taken on that item. On agenda item 18, potential litigation concerning Adam Engineering and Construction and the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company. City Council agreed unanimously on a potential settlement range and provided instruction to the city attorney. No further reportable action was taken, and that concludes the closed session report.
Thank you, Mrs. Peak. With that, this meeting is adjourned.